Hello Ride-On people. I've used BMW's Garmin navigation system for the last few years, and it has to be said it's pretty clear, intuitive and largely accurate in use. The biggest cons it suffers from really is number one, it's vastly overpriced. Should really cost about half the price of what it does. In fact, I think it ought to be free really with any BMW motorcycle premium package. Number two, it's a pain in the derriere to unlock from the bike, hunt out its comms cable, connect it to the laptop, transfer routes and then lock it back on the bike again. And number three, Garmin must invest less than the cost of like a glass of water in their R&D budget for their Basecamp mapping interface software. It's clunky, it's buggy, and it's not exactly easy on the eye. And so people usually use nice websites like MyRoute App to generate GPX files, but with the Garmin they still have to then manually manipulate the route waypoints after importing into Basecamp. And that's basically down to minor differences between the map version of the Garmin installed map you have versus a variant or version of the Garmin map overlay from whatever source software you're using to generate that GPX. Now these annoyances made me want to test alternatives basically. And I've tried many applications over the years, and none could quite hold a candle to a proper GPS, whether that's TomTom, Garmin and whatever version you have. A proper dedicated GPS used to be extremely hard to beat. However, mobile apps have really come on a great deal, and one I like a lot is MyRoute App navigation for the mobile, and it's available at the fraction of the price of a regular GPS. So last week I did some tests and posted a video on three things: the UK-based Beeline application, the European-based MyRoute App website and accompanying navigation mobile app, and BMW's own proprietary connected application, which is used on any BMW motorcycle with a TFT screen. Now the results were a bit mixed and definitely inconsistent to previous results I'd experienced, which really genuinely surprised me. And I really wanted to love the BMW connected app, as it's just so kind of clear on my GS Adventures TFT screen, and you can download maps free to use whenever there's no mobile signal. But it performed worst on the day, so I was a bit annoyed about that, or frustrated, because I really wanted it to work. But unperturbed, I thought I'd do a more comprehensive test this week, and just aimed specifically at the BMW connected mobile app to see if I could get it to behave after applying myself better. And I used three GPX file generation methods to create the exact same route. And the route was going to be a kind of loop of a local subdivision, and it's going to have like half a dozen dead-end cul-de-sacs to go up and down in as I went around the loop. So I used three GPX file generation methods to create the same file or same route. Number one, I used my maps area of Google Maps, setting privacy settings to share, and then using the GPS visualizer website to use their URL converter to generate a GPX file. Second thing I did was use the Garmin Basecamp to export a GPX file, and the third thing I did was use MyRoute App website to export a GPX file. Now using the MyRoute App website, I was also able to create four different GPX variants because they have different overlay maps. So I was able to do one using a Google overlay map, a Garmin overlay map, a TomTom overlay map and an open street format map. So long and short is that basically gave me several tests to try using the exact same route for consistency. And when tested, I initially thought all of the MyRoute app and Garmin derived output variants had failed, and I had deliberately plotted 6 waypoints in dead-end cul-de-sacs, as I said, and I really wanted them to direct me down them and then force me to do U-turns down them. It's a more exact test than just out on the the highway and putting a waypoint in the middle of a 10-mile straight. So depending on the map overlay you use, typically the connected app was only picking up about half of these cul-de-sac turns. And however, I did think that the GPX created in My Maps, Google Maps, in conjunction with the GPS visualizer had worked. So I spent a whole day last weekend making a video of that, and I uploaded it, waiting to be published. But before then, I performed some more tests, and I realised I'd been totally wrong, basically. And with everything failing, it then took me another whole day of head scratching and testing before I finally nailed down what the problem was. And essentially, I'd placed each cul-de-sac waypoint just inside the turning. And whilst that's often okay for, say Garmin GPS with Basecamp, Connected just couldn't distinguish between a waypoint that close to the turn versus a continuation of its route. So as soon as I moved the waypoints further into each cul-de-sac, they started popping up on the Connected app. It was a little confusing at first because when you initially import the route, the map visually looks correct in the BMW Connected app. But when you actually select start the route and then look at the map, the waypoints just inside the turns were disappearing. So after moving the waypoints from say 10% inside each cul-de-sac to 75% inside, all was well again. So the BMW Connected app does work well, and let me briefly show you it in use. Right, let's try the Google one now, see how it fares. Okay, it's 1 out of 6, that's 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6, that's 6 out of 6. So it's 6 out of 6 for both the MyRoute app Google overlay and the MyRoute app Garmin overlay. So pretty pleased with that. Looks like Connected is now working properly. Okay, just for completeness, let's try the MyRoute app Garmin map with the MyRoute app sister app navigation and see how it fares. What a beast, I've missed you. There's 1 out of 1 correct, 2 out of 2, 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4 cul-de-sacs, 5 out of 5 cul-de-sacs, and finally 6 out of 6 cul-de-sacs. So if you don't have access to BMW TFT screen, then using MyRoute app, and it's MyRoute apps online to plot your map, and then the MyRoute app navigation app on your phone to open them and run them. That should serve you pretty well as well. Now let me show you the fastest way to generate files which you can then share with your friends who also have the BMW Connected app, so that you're all on the same page whenever you go out for your ride out. So this is the MyRoute app website. It's not expensive to use. I think it's about $10 a year or something like that. And I have a gold membership, which gives you some extra features like being able to reverse the route or instantly add multiple waypoints automatically. This was the problem. So this was the route. It's just a simple loop with waypoints indicating to go down the cul-de-sacs. But as you can see, I put it just inside each cul-de-sac. So it wasn't picking that up, and you get to this point, for instance, and it would just say, oh, I'll just go straight on because I don't really need to do that little loop. And so that was a problem. So as soon as I amended it so that these waypoints were well into the cul-de-sacs, no problem at all. It would direct me down here, and it would direct me down here, and it would direct me down there. And that would be the case whether the overlay map was Google based or whether it was Garmin based. It all worked perfectly once imported into the BMW Connected app. So basically, once you've created your route in here, you just do a save as and save it as a GPX 1.1, and that will automatically download it to your downloads folder. And here we are on our downloads folder, and we can see the file. And if you have an iPhone, you can just right click on this and do share, and then just airdrop it. When you see your phone on airdrop, you can just click select it. Then you just select the Connected app and you'll see the import screen. Untick the route selection So just the tracks is selected. Then all routes you've imported will be shown. Now if I open the route at the bottom, which is the one where the waypoints are just inside the cul-de-sacs, although it looks okay on first impressions, when you select go to start point, you'll see that the cul-de-sacs aren't shown. Now if I go to the top route, which is the one with the waypoints well into the cul-de-sacs, and select go to start point, you'll see that the route looks perfect with all 6 cul-de-sacs clearly indicated.
A few moments later.
So I have my phone mounted on the bike and I'm going to select the route, and the route is now shown. Let's turn on the TFT. Okay, we'll have to wait a few seconds for it to make connection with the phone, and now you'll see this white square on the dash that's going to show you speed limits. So these are now talking, and if we press go on here, go to start point, calculating route, and you will have seen that just flash up very briefly to say progress forwards. And obviously if I was to start the bike now and ride, I'm now going to get my directions on screen. Additionally, I can use the menu and scroll here to select menu down, and I can then use the toggle scroll to move to navigation, select menu down, and I will get my first directions. Half a mile straight ahead. So that's how it's done. I hope you found this useful, and let me know what tools you use to generate GPX files and whether they work reliably for you once imported into the BMW connected app. Take care and stay safe. Hey you, if you want to become one of the Ride On people, don't forget to subscribe. Ride often, ride carefully, ride on.